like a lot of things in my life, God put my connection with Wycliffe Associates in my lap. A friend brought an email over that said, here's a data research job at Wycliffe Associates. And I was looking for purpose in my life. This was 2014. And I just felt lost. If God called me home, that would be fine, because I didn't have anything that I felt that I was doing or contributing. And then Wycliffe Associates, just after I joined them, had prototyped this accelerated translation methodology in Nepal. And in January of 2015, they had a 4-hour webinar that I listened to that talked about how they did the whole 4-hour, the whole prototype. And then they had the people talking about this translation. In 2 weeks, they had translated Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd Timothy, and Titus into their tribal languages, this one especially that they still don't name. And boy, the Lord just ignited. If I have ever been called, that's the only time I've been called, but I knew I was called, and I'm raising my hand in front of the TV saying, me, me, and I wrote emails to people and said, I want to do this. So that was very much a personal calling that God gave me. God has enabled this point in time to, I believe, change the direction of translation, but it probably even more so make it much more available to the smaller groups, smaller languages, either in population or remote languages, where it's not profitable for the bigger translation organizations to go to them. And we don't advertise ourselves and say we want to come. People hear about us and our process, and they invite us to come. They recruit the translators themselves. I started going on my first trip. I was trained in April and May of 15, and then went on my first trip in August and September to the Philippines and Papua New Guinea, and was involved in 2 workshops, but a whole lot of translators and languages in those 2 countries. And I was just a team member, a facilitator, helping the translators with what English words they didn't know. They were translating from English into their either national or tribal language. In the Philippines, we had 3 national languages and 8 tribal. And so they were translating. I was helping both with the process, how we do it, as well as the English idioms. And boy, just seeing people, their eyes, their smiles when they hear or read scripture in their heart language for the first time, it's just amazing. So since it'll be 3 years this August, and I've been to 7 countries and 13 workshops, 35 languages, and 251 translators. Now, I don't translate. I only know 1 language. So everybody right now, everybody is translating from a source of English. But gradually, as we get more major languages translated, then they can use their major language, their business language of their country, to translate into their village or tribal language. Probably the smallest town that I have been in was in Torit, South Sudan. There was a window when South Sudan was not in civil war and white people could come in safely. And we were flown in by Missionary Aviation Fellowship on, but we still had to go through customs and everything. And Torit, T-O-R-I-T, was a city that had a lot of UN personnel there. That would be the smallest. It did have a hotel. The hotel had air conditioning from 7 to 11 in the morning and 7 to 11 at night. Otherwise, it was 105 degrees. And in terms of small towns, that would be it. I have been involved in workshops where we usually write or type out the translations, but in Papua New Guinea, in Alotau, Papua New Guinea, they don't have a standard written language. They use English Roman characters, but everybody spells or writes however they want to. And so we did an audio translation there with a microphone. And then they would have to edit what they were deciding was going to be their final translation by re-listening. And then we used audio software, Audacity, to edit out the spaces and the uhs and stuff, and then give them an MP3 file on their phone was the output, so then they could take that back to their villages. And I went to a village outside Alotau, about an hour, with some of the people that were on my team, and we FaceTimed with my sister in Ohio. And I mean, here they don't have running water, they have their wood stove, and they do have the bus that comes out near, and then they only have to walk half an hour to their village. But I have internet. They have towers all over, and I have an iPad that I put a new SIM card for whatever the towers are in that country. And then there we were. So she was talking to them, and they were amazed, and she's seeing the whole family. So different experiences. I'm an introvert in terms of how I re-energize myself. And so I'm with people all day during the workshops, and then I'm glad to be by myself at night. But I am just so amazed and energized by seeing the people love what they're doing in their translation. God definitely has wired me to be supportive and to provide a product that can be used and make somebody else's life either fuller or more easy, that they're not having to worry about details of how am I getting someplace and things like that.